One of the targets of the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals adopted by the global community in 2015 is achieving universal health coverage. The aim is for all people to have access to a full range of quality health services when and where they need them, without financial hardship. For Nigeria, it took a step forward towards this direction by enacting the National Health Insurance Authority Act 2022 to replace the Nigeria's National Health Insurance Scheme Act 2004. The law makes health insurance mandatory for all legal residents in Nigeria, aiming at expanding health coverage to over 83 million poor and vulnerable people. But has this move changed anything? Are health facilities and personnel equipped enough to render the health services needed? And what kind of services are available? These questions and other related issues will be on the spot this week. I am Joseph Woodson. Welcome to the program. Now, my guest is a professor of health policy and management with a strong bias in healthcare financing, a fellow of West African College of Physicians, fellow faculty of public health, Royal College of Physicians, United Kingdom. He also holds a master's degree in international affairs and diplomacy. He was a former head of department, community medicine, and Deputy Dean Faculty of Medicine, ABU Zaria, and Provost, College of Medicine, Kaduna State University, an alumnus of the World Bank Institute for Healthcare Financing, visiting scholar to the University of Aberdeen, Scotland. He has served as member of various ministerial technical working groups that shaped key health policies and consulted for many international organizations including UNDP, UNICEF, DFID, the British Council, GTZ, among others. On the spot is the Director General, CEO, National Health Insurance Authority, Professor Mohammed Nasir Sambo. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me today on this program.
We had a change. It was Nigeria National Health Insurance Scheme, and then now we have National Health Insurance Authority. What has changed?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, and there is a transition between NHIS to NHIA. So what has changed in the letters is S has changed to A.
Yes.
So in terms of the content of the two acts, a lot of modification have been clearly captured. Number one, the name of the organization has changed. The nomenclature of the leadership of the organization has also changed, and other things that has to do with operationalization of the national health insurance has also changed. For example, the new act has now vested NHIA to be a promoter, integrator, and regulator of the entire health insurance ecosystem in Nigeria. Number two, the new National Health Insurance Authority Act has recognized state, subnational agencies as actors, key actors in driving health insurance for the purpose of attainment of universal health coverage. The third thing that has changed was making the health insurance mandatory, which is very key. If we are to have a health insurance that will guarantee a journey towards universal health coverage, two things must be critical. One, there must be mandatory. The health insurance law must be made mandatory. The former NHIS law, it was not mandatory. Now this one is mandatory. And the second critical ingredient for having a universal health coverage is to make provision for those who cannot afford to pay if you are operating a system of health insurance where people have to pay. So for those people that cannot afford to pay, there must be a provision that will guarantee that they will be covered under the health insurance. That is the aspect of Section 25, 6, 7, and 8 of the Health Insurance of the Health Insurance Authority Act, which made a provision for the vulnerable group fund to mobilize and attempt to mobilize funds to ensure that these people that cannot afford, the vulnerables, the indigent, the poor people, are also included within the health insurance space. Then finally, what I will say, it has to do with the operations. There were some modification or modus operandi of the national health insurance activities. For example, it has redefined the role of health maintenance organizations. It has also made a provision for what is called third-party administrators, so that they can come and support NHIS in delivering in some activities that NHIA might not necessarily have a competence, or there might be need to outsource those activities. For example, if a subnational agency has a health insurance organization and they cannot conduct claims management, they can outsource these services to the third-party administration. So there is a chapter under the new law that has elucidated so much on that. Who are the third parties? What are their roles and responsibility? How will they be registered, and so on and so forth. So these are the modifications with respect to the content of the law of establishing the National Health Insurance Authority Act.
Okay. So, okay, let's see. Under the National Health Insurance Scheme, we talk that we have just about 4.2% of Nigerians covered. So with this act now, you talked about the states being key actors in this, and then mandatory for all resident Nigerians. Is this the way? What role would these states play towards this coverage? Because we know that sometimes something starts at the federal level, but when it gets down to the state, you see some lackadaisical attitude towards some certain things in some states.
In fact, that was what exactly happened with the former law. Under the former NHIS law, states were expected to key into the program. But after the time when the NHIA Act was amended, in fact, some few years before the law was amended, it was obvious that states were not ready to join the national health insurance. So they clamored to have their own social health insurance at the subnational level. And in one of the Council on Health, it was approved that they should have their own health insurance. And secondly, when the National Health Act was also enacted, it recommended that for the National Health Act made a provision for what is called Basic Healthcare Provision Fund. 1% of the total consolidated revenue will come to the health sector, and the fund will be channeled through the National Health Insurance and the Primary Healthcare Development Agency, and that resource will go to the state. One of the conditions that the state can access that fund is they must have the primary healthcare agencies and national and state health insurance agencies, so that they can be able to receive the fund to cover the vulnerable segment as outlined in the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund. So that has added a lot of impetus for the state to move into developing their state health insurance agencies. So because of that Basic Healthcare Provision Fund that was going to the state, many states established the health insurance agencies, and they are now fast developing their formal sector program, which will now bring the workers that are within the state and the local government area council to also join the health insurance. So these are some of the things that we see. And with the coming of the law and legitimizing the role of the state actors, now we are having a very clearly defined legal framework for the state to operate at a very high, good speed in terms of coverage.
Okay, you just spoke about the funds where we know there's this mention of a vulnerable group funds and so on, other funds that may go in there to the states. If states end up accessing these funds and they don't invest it in the health sector, what happens?
I don't think if that will happen, because the funds are meant to go to the state.
We have seen a situation whereby a lot of state governors, once there's a fund goes to the state, you see state governors will dip their hands in and use it, didn't use it for other things.
Yeah, that also depends on the structure that is put to ensure the probity and accountability of the fund. Under the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund, we have what we call accountability framework. We employ the services of a very credible organization, African Budget Network, which worked with us and some of the state actors to develop that accountability framework, to ensure that every kobo that is meant to be utilized through the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund at the state level, it is utilized. That framework has been developed, and we are implementing it so as to ensure the tracking. What you say is very right. If there is no watertight mechanism to monitor and ensure the funds are targeted and reach to its final destination. So it all depends on the level of monitoring and tracking of the funds. And I believe that we are doing a lot in ensuring that our state offices, in addition to the head offices, the National Health Insurance Authority has state offices in every state. While the state health insurance were coming up, NHIS spearheaded, nurturing of those state health insurance agencies. And the guidelines for disbursement and utilization of the fund are very clear. And since the money is coming from the service-wide vote, we repeatedly inform the state that this is not money it's not a slush fund. It's a fund that is targeted to cover the number of people within the NHIA gateway, and the number to utilize it in upgrading the healthcare facilities within the NPSCDA gateway. So these are conversations. Many people are interested, and many people are putting their eagle eyes to ensure that this money are being utilized. And other structures that help in deepening the accountability of the system. We have them at multi-layer level. At the level of national, of the federal government, we have what is called ministerial oversight function. And they oversight all the activities of the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund. And at the level of the states, because we expect that the state government should put the eyes on the funds that is coming, because this fund is coming from Consolidated Revenue Fund. It is wholly the federal government funding. It's not coming from federation account. So it's one of the contributions that the federal government is doing to increase the fiscal space toward attainment of universal health coverage. So at the level of state, the guideline of operation has recommended that state MOC, state SOC, state oversight committee should be established, which will have the commissioner as the chairman, and other gateways, the NHIA gateway and the NPSCD gateway are members, so that the state, like whenever we disburse a fund to the agency, we copy that fund, that letter to the governors of the state that this amount of money has come to here, and the state oversight functions are there to ensure that these funds are utilized. And part of what the accountability framework is being envisaging is that subsequent disbursement of the fund will depend on how prudent state utilize the funds. So there are so many measures that are put in place to ensure the transparency and accountability in utilizing the resources.
Okay, we'll still talk much about this funds thing, but we'll take a break now. We'll come back.
We set standards based on current broadcast realities while consolidating on our...
Now, welcome back to On the Spot with Director General, National Health Insurance Authority, Professor Mohammed Nasir Sambo. The funding now, are states assessing, have we hit the ground running and states are assessing this funding?
Absolutely. Maybe the NPSCDA Gateway will talk on their own when you invite them to speak. But for the NHIA Gateway, the agency or the authority is not meant to return any kobo that is transmitted by the federal ministry for the purpose of the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund. We transmit it directly upon receipt to the states. And based on how many people will be covered by the fund. For example, every year we expect that this same amount will come. So now, if based on the premium rates, an individual will be covered by 12,000 naira per annum, per capita per annum. It means that if you have 120,000, you will cover 100 people. And that is how the calculation will go. So you will now send that amount of money to the state. So a state that received 240 million will be expected to cover about 20,000 people indigent in the state. So we know exactly how much number of people that can be enrolled for the fund that has been given to the state. Then we know that we do a lot of other activities to ensure that there is service utilization, because the whole aim of the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund is to ensure that primary healthcare system is strengthened. Because if you have resources going from health insurance to the facilities which hitherto were not receiving anything in terms of funding at the local government or state level, now they have opportunity to get resources that are coming from the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund. So we know exactly how much we are delivering to the state, and we know exactly how much number of people that should be enrolled. So when we go for tracking and monitoring, what we are expected to see is, do we have this number of people enrolled? Are they utilizing the services? Where are the facilities that they are utilizing the services? Part of what we do in collaboration with NPSCDA is to ensure that we do accredit the healthcare facilities that will participate in the program. And when there is need for referral, then it can go to the next level, depending on which facilities were accredited to provide the secondary care services. So everything as to the modus operandi, we have developed a guideline that will allow people to understand what is the program and how they can get into the program, and what are their expectations, the kind of services that they should have when they are enrolled, and the kind of drugs that can be prescribed to them when they go to the facilities. Everything is documented. Everything has a manual that guides the operations.
Under the National Health Insurance Scheme, there were outcries of corruption, outcries of, you were talking about services. There were issues of people who were captured in certain centers going there, and at the end of the day, they were not given the desired treatment. Drugs available, they will tell you, you pay some certain amount. If, in short, there's some certain things you go, they will tell you, no, you can't get it except you pay extra money. And you see some of the health facilities, they will even tell you that if you don't do it, it's left for you.
Yes. In a developing economy, health insurance is in a developing economy where the amount that is being budgeted, or if you take, for example, a formal sector, where the proportion of the salary is not even anything much to write home about, and part of it is taken to put into a health insurance fund. And the aggregate of these funds is what you will use to buy, to purchase healthcare services. So it's a simple arithmetic. If you have a large fund, you can cover a lot of diseases. If you have a mega fund, you can purchase services based on the amount of fund that you have in a pool. That's why in health insurance, you are talking about a benefit package. What benefit package can be delivered under the health insurance? And it's a factor.
Why I'm saying this is that if you look at some of the services that, just as you talk about services that are supposed to be rendered, you see some of them, they're quite much, and when people look at it, they'll say, oh, for instance, for pregnant women, the antenatals and everything, care, even up to the level of delivery, I believe so.
Absolutely.
But I've heard people who have complained repeatedly. Some certain drugs that the woman was supposed to take was not given to her. They would say, look, you have to go buy it outside and all this. Well, so these are some of the areas. These are areas that are stipulated there that the health insurance scheme covers it.
Yeah, this outcry is there, and that's why the regulatory function has to be enhanced to be able to address those concerns. Wherever you operate health insurance, there is a tendency by the recipient, the enrollees, to want to outwit the system. And there is also a tendency, we've all seen this tendency of healthcare facilities conniving in the past under this retainership, where they connive with individuals to get somebody who wants to, his wife wants to deliver. He will come and talk to the facility, give me money to buy RAM and build my company. That's one of the justification of bringing about health insurance, because the tendency to want to outwit the system is always there. We have tried to develop what we call services under the National Health Insurance and the list of drugs that individuals are entitled. As a recipient, I should know what I am entitled to. If I go to a healthcare facility and a facility tells me that I'm not entitled to this, then my document is there, say I'm entitled to that. So, but we are not even stopping at that level. We are now developing what we call a client responsiveness initiative, whereby through our overarching digital transformation that we do, if you are in any healthcare facility anywhere in Nigeria and your right is trampled upon, you can make a call, direct call to our MCC. And the MCC will now route the call to the state where you are making the call. There will be a toll-free line that you will call. And once you call, just like your MTN, it may be 07000. So you now call NHIA. The call will be routed. All the infrastructure for that has been put in place. And in few weeks or days to come, those client call center management will commence work, and people will have direct access to complaining. And we have also tried to establish, to develop a credible enforcement department now. Hitherto, there was a department of enforcement, but unfortunately in the National Health Insurance, we had no complement of human resource that can receive complaints and process it. But we have worked on that. And the most important thing that we have done is to be able to get that mandatory law, because for the 20 years we have spent with the old law, when I came, the coverage of the NHIA was just about less than 3%. But now we are talking about 8%, 8.4%. We are going to see astronomical rise in the number of enrollees.
Okay.
This will.
I think we'll have to stop there.
Okay, thank you.
We just hope the numbers will continue to increase in the number of enrollees. Okay.
Yes.
That's Director General and CEO of National Health Insurance Authority, Professor Mohammed Nasir Sambo. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much, and I hope to see you next time. You invite me.
Of course, there will be still a lot. There's still a lot many the public will need to know on this act. Okay, thank you too there for always being there. We'll see you next time on the program.